Hello, my name is Igor Paploski. I'm a postdoctoral associate at the University of Minnesota, and I will present to you my infographic submitted to the 2020 University of Minnesota Research Day, titled Determinants of Between Farm Disease Transmission in Swine, the Case of PRRS and PEDv. Porcine Reproductive and Respiratory Syndrome, PRRS, and Porcine Epidemic Diarrhea Virus, PEDv, are diseases that heavily affect the U.S. swine industry, causing annual financial losses to the sector greater than $600 million. Despite efforts in the last decade to control both diseases, they are still considered endemic in the US. Transmission of both diseases is thought to occur mostly due to animal movements of infected animals, fomites, breaches in biosecurity, or even wind. Those are very broad categories, and visualization of how they interact is not always straightforward. Organizing potential factors that change the risk of occurrence of these diseases on a farm level could help in identifying characteristics that the industry could perhaps be collecting information on, and that the academia could investigate to better assess the risk represented by them. With this in mind, during the 2020 Lemon Conference, industry stakeholders that joined the Geeks to Geeks workshop were asked to help in discussion and creation of directed acyclic graphs, or DAGs for short, illustrating risk factors for PRRS and PEDv transmission at farm level. 105 participants contributed with potential risk factors, and those were organized into sketches of DAGs during the conference. The work I'm presenting here today is the amalgamation of the discussions we had at the conference. Distal and proximal determinants were identified. Distal determinants were considered to be those that affect the probability of virus introduction in a farm from non-fomite sources. Example of these could be wind or rain, for example. However, the amount and direction of wind that a farm is exposed to is affected, for example, by the land coverage around the farm. If there are trees around it, it's going to receive less wind. This potential relationship are illustrated with arrows in the diagram. Two big types of proximal determinants were identified: management practices and swine operation. Management practices were related to choices made at management level that change the probability of infection in the farm. For example, training of personnel in the farm, adherence to biosecurity measures. On the other hand, swine operation factors are characteristics innate to the system, to the swine operation, but that do affect the probability of virus circulation. For example, the system to which a farm belongs to, or how many incoming and outgoing animal movements the farm does, which in turn is affected by the farm type and farm size. All those characteristics interact with one another in different degrees in a manner such that PRRS and PEDv may occur in farms. And when that happens, loss of animals and productivity follows. The final product of the workshop we organized at the 2020 Lemon Conference is presented here. It contains all risk factors listed during the discussion with industry stakeholders and tries to illustrate potential connections between those different risk factors. As all DAGs, the list is not extensive, albeit efforts were made in order to try to make it as complete as possible. These DAGs being used by our group to aid in identifying which risk factors we could potentially try to collect information on, which may lead ultimately to better disease occurrence prediction at farm level, which happens to be another activity that our group currently performs for PEDv. We believe that having this information organized and summarized in a DAG might also provide a good discussion opportunity when training new veterinarians, since potential relationships between different and complex risk factors are shown in an organized way. With that, I'd like to thank our funding agencies, SHIC and the USDA NIFA, and acknowledge the contribution of all authors to this infographic. Thank you very much.